morning. You're listening to 92.7 Arrow FM, and this is a Nothing Personal show with Nikki King. Now, we took a break last week, and we repeated the show that we'd done the week before because it was so much fun. Leo, it was so much fun, so we thought we'd put that back on again. We are affiliated with the Wairarapa Women in Business Facebook group. And we have over 650 women in that group now. So that's getting really big. And we have some meetups. We meet on a Monday. The first Monday, not a Monday. We don't meet on a Monday. That's my show. We meet on a Friday. We meet on a Friday, the first Friday of the month, at Clareville Bakery at 8:30 a.m. And on the third Friday, at Don Luciano at 8:30 in Masterton. So there's two meetups, and it's a very healthy group of women. So if you want to join, if you're a woman and you've got a business and you want to join that group, then you can just hop over to Facebook. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Jane Burns. She's got an osteopathy practice in Carterton at the Wairarapa Natural Health Centre. And that's on the main street through Carterton, and that's Wairarapa Osteopathy. And she also has another clinic in Lincoln Road at the Southfield Clinic, where Sarah Beasley has a practice. And you can book in there as well on Lincoln Road. And osteopathy, I believe, is a great thing to sort you out when you're in pain. And I might have to nip over there if I get any of those sports injuries. Now, before I go over to my very special guest today, I'd really like to congratulate the CrossFit Manaya athletes. These are my whānau who I do workouts with. They were over in Hawke's Bay this weekend at Judgment Day. And I'd like to congratulate one of our very own women, Na, who runs the Strength 2.0 course that starts on Wednesday. She came first in her class with her partner. So she beat a load of other CrossFit athletes. So well done, Na. Thanks. Well, not thanks, but great stuff. I can't wait to congratulate you in person at CrossFit. And we had some other athletes. Andy got placed as well, but everybody from the live feed that I saw looked like they did a fantastic job, and I'm going to do that next year with you, so you heard it here first. Anyway, I've got Monica Ferguson on the show this morning. Good morning, Monica.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Cool. No, that's really cool. And so do you want to tell the guests at home what you do?
Sure thing. Well, I am a people photographer, so I specialise in photographing women, portrait and wedding photography. Yeah. So my thing is, I talk to a lot of people who hate being photographed, right? Everyone hates being photographed.
Everybody hates it, don't they?
Hate it. Like, I've probably met two people and they're like, no, I don't. Like, you're an exception. Yeah.
But everybody loves selfies. Get that.
I think it's because you can control it, and you can. But when you hand over the power to someone else, it's quite scary. But so there's that, and so people just weren't being photographed, right? They hate it so much they weren't being photographed. And so for me, my business started as a result of losing my little brother 10 years ago.
Oh, gosh.
And that, coming from that, realising that photographs are literally all we have left when something like that happens. And so people being afraid of it just wasn't really acceptable to me.
No.
So I was like, right, I need to make this fun somehow. So that was my mission. So I've always loved people. I've always worked with people before that. So I was like, cool, people photography, that's me. And so it just has taken off.
Wow.
Yeah.
And people photography, there's so much you can study in the face, isn't there?
Totally.
Yeah. So do you go around doing candid shots as well as sort of, as an interest thing that you do yourself?
See, not really. It's funny because everyone says, can you get candid photos? I'm like, you don't want candid photos. Like right now, I'm very aware of my posture. Like no one wants a shot, of sitting. Like when you're relaxed, you have a double chin. Like it's not pretty. But people want natural photographs, but they don't actually want, like no one wants a shot like that. So it's more about creating a natural pose, like getting people to look like themselves.
Yeah.
But with good posture and, knowing how to shape someone's body, knowing the flattering angles, nice light, all that kind of thing. But I think the key is making people look like themselves, because when they look happy, they just radiate anyway.
That's a really good point. That I think that it's very knowing those techniques. I mean, I'm a designer and sort of verge on a little bit of photography. I wouldn't say as a professional at all, but you sort of get these tips, and there's so much to learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's so much to learn. It's like you can go out, I can take a shot, but then there's the lighting and everything else. Yeah. And so this is your passion.
100%.
So how long have you been doing photography?
About 6 years.
Wow.
And I had no idea that was going to happen. I was not good at art at school. Music was my thing, like you.
Nice.
And so my kind of like big daydream was like, I'll be the next Adele, that's like my secret dream like in the shower. Yeah.
But then, brush out.
Yeah. And then so I was working in mental health for 5 years, and my clients, 2 of them at the same time, got me into photography. Wow. They started asking me to take them out on photo shoots and stuff. And there was just this moment that we were up in Kapiti, on Paikakariki Hill, and like beautiful sunny day, Kapiti Island, and my client hands me a camera, and she's like, do you want to have a play? And I picked it up, and it was literally this weird like light bulb like moment. Yeah. And I was like, this is like an extension of me or something. Yeah. And it just turned on, and all of a sudden I'm like photographing puddles, there's a reflection, like there's a sunset, quick pull over on the side of the road. It just turned something on that I had no idea.
So do you find, because I sort of, as I say, I play with it myself a little bit, you start looking at the world differently just because you see different things that you want to photograph?
100%. And honestly, it's so bad. It gets me in trouble all the time. Like if you're sitting with someone outside, and like I remember having lunch with someone and she had really bright red hair, and I was watching the sun like bounce off her head and like the backlight, and I was like, sorry, I have no idea what you just said. But it happens all the time. You're watching things and you're thinking like, oh, what could I do? And like, what would I dress you in? And what,
Oh, that's cool.
All the time.
So if somebody comes for, that sounds interesting. So if somebody comes for a portrait shot, would you actually suggest things that they wear as well?
Totally. Yep.
Wow.
That's all part of the preparation. So, because it's such a huge thing. Clothes, I had no idea, but actually they are so powerful because they're an expression. And bizarrely, like people will bring a whole wardrobe and they'll put something on and it will either look amazing or it won't. And it does things for us. Like when people put on their favorite color or something and they just light up. Yeah. Or they'll put something on and they're like, oh, well, I thought I should bring this. I'm like, well, don't. Like, we're not going to even shoot that because it doesn't suit them or it doesn't flatter them. It just does something to you when you put something on that makes you feel good. Yeah.
I mean, as a person who does I'm in a band, I get photographed a lot. There's a lot of unflattering pictures out there of me.
Well, you're on the stage. That would be why I was shooting up.
Yeah, shooting up, and in flagrante. And you're thinking, oh my god, yeah. So it's quite hard to get, especially with a band or a group of 4 people, photograph that pulls everybody's personality in. Yeah. So how do you do all that in weddings? Weddings must be really difficult to shoot.
They are, not going to lie. They are. You've got a lot less control. So a lot of it is what you've done before the wedding. Right. So for me, like relationships are everything because in order for people to look good, they have to trust me. So they have to know me and feel comfortable. So at a wedding, I would always do an engagement shoot first, which is it's kind of like a dress rehearsal. Yeah. And so by the time you get there, like they used to make goofy jokes and whatever. Yeah. But it means that you've already sat down with them, you've created this timeline. Often you've met certain family members and that sort of thing. Yeah. So you just like... It's really about you have to be bossy but nice at the same time because you need to get things done but people need to like you. Yeah. So it's much harder and you just don't have the time. Yeah. But having like the bridal party and the bride and groom, that's when you have time to really play and capture personalities and stuff, which is often what people want anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's about them, isn't it? But I've always wondered like how... you've got to be a bit of everything with being a wedding photographer, haven't you? You've got to, so you've got to boss them around, and they're all drinking and completely caca, mad, and but there's shots that they obviously want, so you just got to. So do you just blend in and go around and catch things, or do you set the shots up?
A bit of both. Sometimes you have to, like, honestly, guests can be the worst, honestly. And sometimes there is no blending in. Like, and it's always a really tall person that will stand right in front of you in the aisle or something. You're 8 feet tall. Step aside, please. But, like, sometimes, I mean, I'll just ask people to move. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, I hate doing that. But it's like, well, I'm paid to be here. Yeah, and I'm expected to capture these shots. So, things like that. You've got to be a little bit bossy. Yeah. But the bride and groom, again, you can kind of stage something and then just let things happen organically. Yeah. So especially the bridal party, like I'll quite often give them things to do. Yeah. Because then they laugh, and so you get that because you don't want awkwardness and you don't have the time. Like one-on-one portrait shoots are so amazing for this because you have the time to really like
that's
connect
right.
and pull things out of people. But with a bridal party, quite often the wedding's running late. You've got 30 minutes. It's like, go. So, yeah.
I know. Here's the photograph slot.
Yeah, basically.
Then you got to get everybody from that side and everybody from that side and madness. But so what is your absolute favourite type of photography then? Do you prefer the portraits or the weddings, or do you do events?
Not so much events. My favourite is a portrait shoot.
Yeah.
Hands down. And one-on-one, preferably.
Yeah.
Because just magical things happen when you have the time, because it just takes time for people to really relax. And when you've got all these things working for you and you've prepared and you've got all these amazing clothes and you're telling a story about someone, but you're telling their story.
Yeah.
But you have this ability to pull things out of someone and then show it back to them in a tangible way. And it's my favourite thing, like, because everyone freaks out, right? And they're like, oh, well, you make me look fat, well, you make me look old, like I hate this tooth. I'm like, it's all good, don't worry, I've got your back, you know. But when you actually spin the camera around early on and they see what they look like, there's no arguing, because here it is on my camera. I haven't edited this.
Yeah,
you know, this is not Photoshopped.
No.
Like, this is just how good you look. And people are always amazed, and it's the best thing. And you need the time. You know, to be able to really put people at ease.
And digital photography's given you so many options these days, because you can actually edit them, can't you?
Totally, yeah.
So you can take out that zit and
Oh yeah.
you know, it's like you can go in there and fix the lines, and because I've done a little bit of that. I'm not very good with skin though. I like Photoshop because I'm a designer, but I don't use it probably the same way you do.
Yeah.
But that doing skin tones and stuff like that, such a skill. You know, fixing stuff up.
Yeah, I've almost thrown many computers out of Windows.
Me too.
But once you get it, it's the power that you have.
Exactly.
At the same time, that's power that needs to be used responsibly.
Oh, I know. I've seen some shots. My cousins back in the UK had some done years ago when they were teens, and they'd Photoshop. The skin didn't look real.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my goodness, who's done that? You know? Yeah. I mean, they look beautiful, but they didn't look like them.
Yes, that's the problem. But then what kind of message are you sending? It's like, you look good, you know? But I mean, when you take 20 years off and people don't recognise you, you see it quite often with certain professions, which I will not mention, but like you see signs and things and you meet the person in real life and you're like, that's nothing like you.
No,
that's not good.
I know, no, it's not. And you know, my favourite photographs that people get of me are the ones where they do just catch me off guard.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got a really good side of me where I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a good night, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was cool. So, typically, run me through what would happen with if somebody wanted to come and do a one-on-one photo shoot with you. How would they? They'd first of all ring you up, and then what would happen from there?
Coffee date.
Coffee date.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. It's so important. It's so important, because then by the time you arrive for your shoot, we're already friends.
Yeah.
There's just there's nothing, no anxiety. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I noticed that early on, people would come to their shoots and they'd be shaking. They'd be so scared. I'm like, what is this? This is not good. People are so afraid, you know? So, yeah, coffee date. And we brainstorm. We chat about what kind of shoot you want to do. Like, I just had a consult with someone on the weekend, and we're having a maternity shoot.
Oh, nice.
So we're like, milk bath, flowers, you know, and like, it's so fun. And that's when you can really figure out like what you as the client like, and how we're going to portray you.
Yeah.
Because it's not me, you know. I'll pull it out, but it's ultimately we want your ideas and your colours and your places and all that sort of thing.
That's right.
So it's literally the sky's the limit. So that's the fun bit, because then and so after that we do, I have guides and things. So I send all the information so people know how to prepare, and then you come in for your shoot. Hair and makeup, play. It's always fun.
So you have somebody come in and do the hair and makeup for you?
I have some amazing makeup artists that I work with.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they'll come in and talk to your client and do them up?
Yep.
Wow, that sounds like a real pamper.
They're incredible. It's so important. It really is. It makes you feel like $1 million.
Wow.
People strut out afterwards.
Get my rock star clothes on. Yeah, cool. So, and then you'd take, how long would you take to shoot someone? Would you go on location?
Yeah. That's my favourite, actually. Shooting outside is the best. Or a combination. So if you start in the studio and then you head outside.
Yeah.
And you change outfits and that sort of thing. So, it can take 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
But it flies by, you know.
Wow.
That sounds scary, but it's not. You have Beyonce cranking the whole time and you're all, yeah, it goes by so quickly.
I know we had one of the best band shots we ever had done was with the guy called Jeff Walker.
Yep.
And he took us down to, I said, we need to go on location somewhere. Good old Jeff. Shout out to Jeff if you're listening in Uganda with his new family. Cool. And he took us down. I said, we need something that's typically Wairarapa. This is what we want, because we're a Wairarapa band. And he said, let's go to Naui. So we went off to Naui and we climbed on the boat trailers and it was just completely crazy. But it took a long time for him to get, and he got one really amazing shot out of the whole day that we used for our album cover, which was, it was really just like... a rock and roll album cover. I don't know how he'd done it, and it was in a little gully that looked like a big cliff. And it was like, just something that just happened.
So cool.
Not even the boat trailers weren't the best. It was this mad thing,
Yeah.
So I can imagine how long it could take to do it. And do people come to you with the particular favourite spots? Where's the weirdest place you've done a shoot?
Actually, the weirdest shoot I've ever done, I went to America and I photographed plastic surgeons working.
Oh my God.
They wanted like a day in the life, so I had to go in, kit up, and it was traumatic. At the time it was okay, it was afterwards that it kind of sunk in what I just witnessed.
Well, you had to edit it.
Yeah. Apparently I went very white and I got very tired after that shoot and slept for about 12 hours.
Oh man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that at all. I would be just. And here's a little nugget of a fact: I trained for a year to be a nurse, and I didn't like blood. That's what finished me off.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. I didn't realise you saw blood until I saw it.
Yeah.
Not good. So yeah, so you did a plastic. So you're in America. So you've been in America.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have. Yeah. Well, my mum lives over there. She's been there for about 10 years. So.
And you're a Wairarapa girl yourself.
I am. Yeah. I grew up in Masterton.
Wow. And so before you were a photographer, what did you do then?
So I was a mental health support worker for 5 years. So I worked in Wellington and up in Kapiti. So I worked with people in the community who lived in their own homes to kind of get them out and get them going. Before that, I was in hospitality.
Wow, I've been in hospitality. Good grounding for this kind of thing.
Yes, it actually is, because it's just the people. You learn so much.
I know. You have to be able to talk to people and be like, how do you be so like chill? It's like, well, I worked in hospitality for heaps of years. You can deal with anything.
Yeah.
So it's wedding season. Are you busy at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, it's actually portraits that I'm most busy with.
Really? I would have thought weddings would be the...
Yeah, well, I'm setting up my new studio in Greytown.
Oh, wow.
So I've got a space over in Alistown in Lower Hutt.
Yep.
But I'm setting one up at home, actually, which is awesome. So that's been taking a bit of my time, but so nice to have some roots down here back home.
So you must have to have quite a lot of specialist equipment as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So long lenses and...
Yeah, you do. But I also think it doesn't need to be that complicated.
No. Because it's not the tools that take the good pictures, it's the eye.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, have you photographed anyone famous?
No.
No. Well, there you go,
still
famous
waiting
people.
for that. Yeah.
She's waiting for you. So, what's your favourite thing about photography?
Okay, I have two things. One is that moment where you show someone a photo of themselves and they like fight the urge to cry. That's the best thing. The next one is the fact that you've created a beautiful portrait of someone that's going to exist. You've actually stopped time for someone. And I mean, that totally comes from my brother, but also like I've had a couple of experiences now where I was the last person to photograph someone before they unexpectedly passed away.
Oh gosh.
And so when you actually hear the stories of like what that photograph means to someone, it's so powerful, and it just reminds me so much of why I do what I do, because we're constantly in this thing of, oh, we've got time, oh, at the next family wedding, at the next Christmas we'll get a few shots. No, and there's a difference between a shot and a really powerful portrait that captures who you are, and so when we're creating that for our families and our loved ones, that's why we do it.
Yeah.
But we're also insecure and we don't think we're good enough to be photographed, that we just don't do it. But, when your 9-year-old brother suddenly passes away, all of a sudden those excuses just are gone. And you're like, right, I actually can't afford to live my life anymore. Like, there's all the time in the world.
No.
I'm not going to settle for a job that doesn't really do it for me. I need to go after what's important.
I think those moments are defining. I had, years ago, one of my children passed away when I was 19. I had a little boy when I was young, and no, that's cool.
Yeah.
And same sort of thing, you know, you live life a little bit differently once you've had some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, this is it.
Totally.
I'm going to tick off all my bucket list stuff.
Yeah. Not a dress
right now.
No,
I've faced that, you know, and you know, so yeah, I can totally appreciate that with your brother. How you just got to move and get those moments and take. I'm always taking pictures with my phone.
Yeah.
You know, because that's accessible.
Yeah.
But having a professional photo done with a camera. So do you have anybody in your family who's your muse? Because I know lots of photographers have muses that they take lots of pictures of.
Funny you ask. It's actually not in my family, but when I went to study photography, we had to do this project, and I ended up creating a project about my brother. And he, even though he was 9, he actually had 2 girlfriends at the time, but there was one in particular that I loved, and I went and connected with her as part of this project and said, hey, would you mind if I photographed you? She's become my muse. I've photographed her ever since. And she's just exquisite in front of the camera, but also, I mean, who she is, you know, I met her as this little 9-year-old running around in my backyard, and now we're taking these insane like portraits of her in lavender fields, and you know, it's incredible.
Awesome.
And it just means so much to me because she's kind of helping me tell my story, whereas when you're photographing other people, it's about them, but it's nice to have an outlet for myself as well.
I think that's really valuable. Yeah. And you see, I'd love to. My problem is I've been photographed a lot because of the band, so I'm not so bad behind the camera, but I don't like smiling because my smile's terrible. You know, you put the cheesy smile on, that one, you know.
Yep.
So it must be quite hard to work to get people to have the nice natural smile that.
Yeah. And I honestly think this is the hard bit. That's the thing. You can have all the gear in the world, but if someone looks awkward, you can't Photoshop in like an actual smile.
No,
you know?
yeah, there's some lips.
Yeah, you just can't. So it's about getting people to actually smile at you.
Yeah.
So at my shoots, like this is how it is. I just chat. I pull my camera down. We're just chatting, and then I just say, look, I will ask you to do whatever I want, but just let your face do whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
If you're laughing, laugh. If you're not, don't. And then what happens is you get this really nice variety of shots anyway. Yeah. Sometimes the really relaxed ones are the most powerful, the most beautiful ones where they just people, and especially when they trust you because they drop their guard down and you see who they are. It's amazing. Yeah. But then you can capture like really beautiful smiles and stuff like that as well. So it's cool.
Yeah. Because I always, on the band shots now, I just pull a... So everybody thinks I'm miserable. You know, I've got these serious, angry looking, because we are a punk rock band. So it's like, got the rock chick attitude like that. And that's because I've got a paranoia about my smile. Because when people go, cheese, you just look like...
Everyone has something like that.
A cheese face.
Well, everyone has something they're scared of, like it's a tooth or it's a nose or a smile or something.
Or a double chin. Yeah, that's another one. You've got to put your head forward and do that.
Yeah.
So, we're nearly halfway through, so I'm going to play some tunes. I could do. And, you know, there's been quite a lot of music happening around the place. My band Spank are playing at Relay for Life. If you want to catch us there, we played at Regent 58. Thank you for everybody who turned out to Regent 58 the other night. It was challenging. It was very challenging. It was very windy, and it did start to rain. Thank you for all the people who came out, and thanks to Martin Doyle. Giving Martin Doyle a shout out because he produced some wonderful sketches of our gig and people dancing in a hurricane, which was really cool. That's another cool thing, you know, people who sketch things as they happen. Completely amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some music from a band that I really like called Drones. They've got some new music out, but this is not their new music. They've got a new single called Rattlesnake, I think, Rattlesnake, or a remix of that, and another song. But I escaped me, and I was in a rush out this morning. So what I'm going to do this morning is play Caged, which is one of the ones that they put lyrics to later on, and this is how that goes. You're listening to 92.7 Arrow FM, and that was Drones with Caged. And that was an awesome song. Not caught up with the Drones for a while. They're not called the Drones, by the way. It's Drones. And I've not caught up with them for a while, but I've seen that they're doing well. They're planning another mini tour around New Zealand, and they I tip those guys to break it through. One of the guys, we love the grassroots Kiwi music on this show, and they're really a good band to want to watch in the future. So we got Monica Ferguson on this show this morning, and she's a photographer. I just want to put a shout out to my sponsors. If you just tuned in, we're sponsored by Wairarapa Osteopathy and Fuzzbox Designs, and this is Arrow FM 92.7. You can watch this show on Wairarapa TV on Channel 41, and it's on today. So we got Monica Ferguson, and she's a photographer, and she specialises in weddings and portraits. Hello again, Monica.
Hello.
So we've been talking all things photography. Now, in the break, when we were just listening to that song, we were talking about how, I haven't had any photographs taken, and you catch them on your phone, blah, blah. But quite often mums don't feature in these pictures.
Mums never do.
They're always behind the camera, living the life, aren't they? Catching the moments.
1,000 photos of the kids and none of mum.
Yeah, so it's a good thing to get yourself into all of these. Get a family photo shoot done before you regret it and they've all grown up and left home.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So you're setting up in Greytown at the moment. You're telling me you're setting an office up.
Yes, so I'm going to have a studio in Greytown, and I've got one in Allistown as well.
Yeah, so
on
you
the
do.
Other side of the hill.
So have you been doing much in Wellington?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I've only been back in Greytown for 6 months or so.
So what brought you back over to Wairarapa?
Many opportunities. I actually did not think I'd be coming back, but surprisingly, I love it. Now that I'm here, I'll never leave. My family's house is in Greytown.
Yeah.
It was empty, so there needed to be someone to look after it, and it's a beautiful home, so we're really excited to have that. But mostly, it was actually my husband has an antique furniture business. He had one in Wellington, and he found a shop in Featherston, and he said, let's just have a look at this one, just out of interest. And we walked in, and his face lit up, and I was like, oh no, we're moving. So he fell in love with it, and so that's running now as well. But that was kind of the first thing, and all these things just sort of led us back here, and it's meant to be, like 100% we're meant to be here. It's been great since we've been back.
And Featherston's so on the up, isn't it?
It totally is.
It's like from when I moved here 10 years ago, and there's lots of empty shops. But it seems to be going through a little bit of a gentrification up there, and it's really booming. So he's got an antique business, has he?
Yeah.
So what's the name of that? So we'll give it a plug.
3 Chairs.
3 Chairs?
Yep.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Pun. Yeah. They're all about the puns.
Cool. So do you like antique furniture as well? No.
I wish I did. I can appreciate it, but it's not my thing.
Oh, that's honest.
Yeah.
and so you're in Greytown and you're setting up your so you'll have a studio that people can just go to and have those portrait shots done down there. So you've come back to Wairarapa. Where were you before? Well, you were in Wellington, presumably? Kapiti.
By the beach.
Oh, nice. So did you enjoy doing beach shots?
I do. Yep. I do. I think as a photographer, you want shade when you're shooting outside. So shooting at the beach is actually harder than it sounds, unless you're shooting at like sunset.
Yeah, there are certain times of day, aren't there, where it's really bad to shoot things.
You avoid the sun at all costs, which everyone thinks the sun is the best light, and no, we're like dying inside when there are no clouds in the sky.
You get all that overburn on everything and shadows.
Squints and
and everything. It's really hard. We went to do some products and it was the same, even though products don't squint or anything. It's like you got the shadows and the burn and you can't take it out and it's just really hard, isn't it? So see, I love the beach, but I actually quite like landscapes. I'm really into I'd love to be able to paint because I love seeing the light that comes through the landscapes. I suppose if you're doing portraits, though, you can put those things into the background.
You totally can. Yeah. And that was the thing. I never really got landscape photography. Like I can appreciate it, but for me, just found it a bit boring, like, because I loved the people side of it.
Yeah.
But then you start hunting for these cool landscapes, and then you just put a person in it, and it's like, I think it's awesome, and it means everyone's shoot is different as well, especially when you're going to places that are significant to someone.
Yeah.
But the landscape just tells a whole different story as well.
Yeah. So do you get people who want sort of these like fantasy kind of shots doing as well? Yep. So can you do that kind of work?
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So because I quite enjoy, I'm a designer, and I quite enjoy taking photographs and then turning them into something else, dumping things in, and then, because you can do all sorts. You can become crazy, can't you?
You can. I just discovered this app. It's so cool. I've lost days to this app, and you can add in movement. So I took an engagement shot of a couple of friends of mine in the sea a couple of weeks ago, and then I put in movement so the water moves around them.
Oh, wow.
It's cool. Or like you put movement in the clouds so the sky moves.
Oh, wow.
It's fun. It's so cool.
There's so much nowadays that you can just get an app to do it.
Yeah.
And it's people. I know that my clients go, I've got these really terrible fit pictures, and they give them to me, and I go, well, I can actually improve them. Yeah. And they're like, really? And they sit there and you watch, and they go, oh my god, how do you do that? And it's just like, I just know the software now.
Yeah.
You caught the shot. The shots are good, and the power of the crop.
Yeah. Crop's important. It really is. Yeah.
The power of the crop is once you become the master of the crop, and people don't understand that, even though they've put this massive, as long as the resolution's good, you can pull in and crop all the rubbish out and make a better.
Totally.
Yeah. So good.
Magic.
Yeah. But that I actually think you have to have a good eye for that, and that's the power of coming to a professional like yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. It definitely is. And you learn so much over time as well, like, because you just get so used to scanning images that you start picking up on things that other people can't actually see. And sometimes you can drive yourself crazy when you're editing and you're looking at something, and like I'll show it to my husband and he's like, it looks great, and like he can't even see the thing that I'm staring at, because you've got to remember, like, normal people don't view things the way we do. They're not trained to scan. No. But I guess that the benefit of that, like when you're trying to Photoshop horrible thing like hair that's landed on someone's eye, you never do that again. So you're like, the next shoot you go to, you're carefully grooming people.
Don't clutch your hair.
Yeah.
Because I can't get rid of that.
Exactly.
Or it will take me a lot of hours.
Yeah. And so I think it makes you a better photographer, because it means that you take more time in person to actually make sure that things look perfect. Or like, a necklace that's sitting off to the side, but you've got this beautiful expression, but you can't use it because it looks horrible.
Yeah, because it's going to annoy you because it's not symmetrical.
Yeah, and no one wants that, you know?
And there are some people who don't bother about that, but like designers and photographers probably do. It's like when I notice when fonts aren't properly kerned, and it's like and once you introduce somebody to kerning, it ruins their life forever, because every single font that you look at, you can tell when it's not been kerned correctly. And most people don't notice that until you show them, and then they're like, oh my god. Yeah, leading and kerning, it's really important. So it'd be the same sort of thing. And I can sort of sympathise with you. I went to get, my husband is a good photographer, but he doesn't photograph products quite like I photograph, because there's not so many product photographers. I do some of that in my job for websites. So I took him on the shoot and I said, right, I need these things photographing. Now, what he thought were great photographs weren't actually that great for what I was doing, because he took them all on an angle, and it's like, no, I don't need it. It's like, no. I mean, I can manipulate them, but the perspective's still going to be out, and it's, so it's like you have to educate people what a good product photo is, because it's completely different to what's happening with people's faces. Totally.
It's like you want no creativity. You just want straight.
Exactly. No straight good light. Just got the product has to look. And it has to invoke some kind of emotion. And I think that's what all good photographs do, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want people to buy, with a product, you want people to buy. So you're trying to get the things that invoke emotion to people to buy,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's the weird thing with photographing people, is that there is a lot of emotion involved, and I don't really have much control over how, if people come in and they've got these hang-ups about themselves, some people will look for the flaws and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. That hardly ever happens. Normally, if someone's coming to me, it's because they want to feel good, and they'll kind of meet me halfway. They're not looking at like, this is wrong and I'm too this and I'm too that. It's like they want to see this version of themselves.
Yes.
Which is cool. But I remember I had one shoot once where It was a mother and daughter, and the mum came in and she saw her daughter's photos and cried and bought every single one. And she was like, I just can't take any of me. And I actually like called it in the moment. I said, look, like, this is so important that you have this. And also your daughter is watching you, you know, she's so young. She's watching you like hate yourself, you know, and it's right. Like,
and do you think it's all these it's images from magazines that make women feel that about themselves?
Definitely. And they're not even real anyway.
No.
Have you seen those videos, you know, where they show it in reverse?
Yeah.
And like they've added like a foot to someone and they show you what she would actually look like in real life, like a giraffe with like a little, you know? It's bizarre.
I know. And we get all these pressures. It's like I put a lot of weight on, and then I started doing the band, and when I first started doing the band, I really hated looking at myself. And then, you know, I had a light bulb moment like you probably with the camera, where I thought, this is me. This is what I'm doing. I'm a larger person. I'm entitled to be on the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a valid musician. I'm just going to accept myself at the size.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, you know, and then I didn't mind looking at those photographs, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, but it was like, you know.
And why we measure our worth based on our appearance.
I know.
Which sounds weird from a photographer, but the thing that, like, it's so hard to explain to people, but it's that we're not actually photographing the outside.
No.
That's just,
you're dead right.
It's fun and games, you know,
You're
but it's
dead
actually,
right.
we're photographing the inside. We're kind of showing it back to you from the outside. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not looking at, oh, that's nice hair and that's a nice dress. I'm looking at, like, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's really right. And also, you know, there's certain details that a photographer will catch in your face that you don't know exist.
Yeah.
You know, because they've focused on something that you don't know.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, there's been some really good pictures taken of me, like, on stage, where they've really caught the essence of what I'm singing about, you know, and it's like, oh, it's so good. Awesome. You know, that there's good photographers are really, really good ones that don't just do the, you know, bog standard shot. Are really hard to find, I think. Yeah. So I'm interested in having a look at your work, eh?
Yeah. Get into it.
So if you want to, actually, I'll just give you a plug now. If you want to go and have a look at your work, you've got a website, haven't you? Mm-hmm. So do you want to let everyone know what that is?
Sure thing. www.monica-ferguson-photography.com.
Yeah, and obviously you've got a little video on your story of you doing a photo shoot, eh?
Oh, I've got heaps. I've got heaps of videos on my website, on my blog, behind the scenes and stuff.
And they're so fascinating. I've had a look at those. It's so nice to watch that story. And that's a really nice video. I think it was on your Facebook page, actually, where you've got that one. And it shows that somebody having the hair and makeup done and getting to the shoot.
And that's the thing. And I realised, like, in order to get people in front of the camera, they need to realise that it's not a traumatising experience. I know. Which everyone thinks it is. So if I can show, like, my clients are sitting here actually, like, wetting their pants laughing, it's a good thing I turn the sound off on those videos, because honestly, the conversations we have are hysterical. But it's like, they're all normal people. Yeah. And also because I kind of started to worry early on that if you're only seeing the end photo, people would say, oh, she's so beautiful. Yeah, but that's not what she looked like. Like, she came in track pants. She's a mum. You know, she had gumboots on.
Exactly.
But not like, I have to look like this in order to be photographed. That's, you know? So to actually show, like, these are just normal, everyday people that have jobs and kids and, you know, lives.
That's right. Yeah, and this is how we can transform you. It's so cool, isn't it? And so I've been going through those kind of transformations with working out. You know, it's it's not really about looking gorgeous or anything. It's about feeling strong and about feeling healthy and about being able to do things, and that's really empowering.
Yeah.
It's become empowering. It's the bonus that I'm starting to look better, but that's not the main focus of it at all. No, and it's really, really cool to empower women to feel better about themselves. I think that's, you know, a lot of people who've gone through those photo shoots must come out feeling really empowered. 100%.
They literally strut out of the room. It's awesome. And that's the thing, you know, it's like, how can I explain to people that feeling? I can show it, I can try and show it in a video, but it's like, until you actually experience that high and that rush, it's like, it's so unlike what people think it is.
I know, and it must be like when we do recording for the band and you get the finished product, it's so exciting.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what I'm like too when I'm shooting and I see a photo and I bounce up and down and I'm like, Tigger, and you know, and that excites them too. But it's like when you see it, and there's such a clear moment in every shoot where people stop being uncomfortable. You know, there's always going to be that for a few minutes. It's kind of awkward to have a camera up in your face and be leaning on a wall in a strange position. But
it's a bit like the radio show. People for the first half an hour sit and they don't really talk much, and then all of a sudden they cut the second half of the radio show like, whoa. Yeah, and everybody opens up, and it's, I think, being put into an intimidating situation. I think, what really starts us off is our school photographs.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone remembers them too. Everyone's been traumatised.
And it's like, oh, I remember that school photo where I had my hair stuck up and my front teeth missing.
Yeah.
I think they should ban them, eh?
Agreed.
Or get a photographer who's going to make them happy.
Yeah.
I've never bought any of my kids' ones because they don't look very happy at all.
No.
It must be a difficult job, though, because you have to go through 300 children.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
I did one shoot like that once. I assisted, and it was horrendous. I take my hat off. To people that can do it, it's not for me.
I always like the ones where they get them outside of the school and they're doing something different. Like at the end, they go, oh, we'll take all the school photos and then we'll take all the class photos, and then they get them on the climbing frame or something outside, and everybody looks really happy.
Yeah.
And that's the one they should actually take.
Yes.
That's the one you should buy.
Exactly.
So what do you think, aside from like pressures on women and aside from your school photos, what do you think puts people off being photographed? What's the thing that makes people so frightened of it?
Honestly, I'm still figuring that out. I think at a deep level, we all don't think that we're good enough. And it actually comes down to your ability to see your own worth and your own value. And that's the thing that it's scary. And because you come in and you're giving me the ability, and you're coming in with nothing on your face. Often people hide behind makeup and stuff like that. You're coming into strangers in the most vulnerable state and allowing us to it's so nerve-wracking, and I totally get that, but I also know how amazing it will be.
Yeah.
But I think that being seen almost it's so bizarre, because we're in this culture where we're all about being seen. Social media, look how great my life is, here's the highlights reel, But I don't actually think, because they're not real though, are they? They're all filtered. You've taken 100 shots to get this one selfie, and then we all buy into it, and but it's not real.
No.
But there's something about this sort of a shoot that is completely real.
Yeah.
Because you're connecting. And also the thing is with photography too is that it's so subjective. So it's actually not what you see, it's what I see.
Yes.
That's what's going to come into the photo. And there was this amazing experiment done a couple of years ago in America. And they had this bald model guy come in, and they had 5 photographers, the same room, the same camera, the same lens, and they told each of these photographers different things about who this guy was. So someone believed he was like a criminal, someone believed he was a CEO of and the photos are completely different based on their perception, based on the story they were trying to tell. And that's it. And so the thing with photography is that you have to... Yeah, you really have to connect, because in order for me to show you in a photograph, I need to know you, but you need to feel safe with me.
Yeah.
It's such a deep experience,
That's right.
But we all act like it's on the surface, but it's not. It goes so much deeper.
Oh, it so does. Yeah. So do you take heaps and heaps and heaps of shots? Are there shots that you never show the client?
I take a few. I used to be really trigger happy but the thing is, you can see it straight away if it's working or not.
Yeah.
And I would rather, take the time to position someone, get them looking really good, take 3 at different crops, and then move on.
Yeah.
Instead of just being 5 hours of just firing and have 1,000 photos to go through.
I know, because I think that's probably the thing. You think, oh, there's digital, I can take heaps and just grab some. But the thing is, you've got to go through them all.
Yeah.
Download them.
Exactly. And then cull through, find the good ones.
Yeah. And then not one of them is good, and you're like, oh no. Because you just took loads of pictures and not really worried about it.
Yeah, and I think that comes with experience. Like I said, when someone puts an outfit on and they look great, awesome, we're going to go with that. So it's the same with even poses. Bizarre, everyone has a certain body part that looks amazing. And so you've got to find it. And a side, that's a real thing. A good side and a bad side. So once you kind of figure out where they look comfortable and what looks good, it's you kind of replicate it in different outfits, different clothes, different poses, and straight away if it's working or not. So whereas in the beginning I'd be I'm just gonna go crazy and just shoot to protect myself kind of thing, but you don't need to. You can see the shots on the back of your camera that you're that one. I think that's true, that's totally true. So how do you find working for yourself as a
a business, because lots of women we've got women in business, so was it scary when you first decided you were just going to branch out into photography?
It was absolutely terrifying. Yeah, I've grown the most as a person through this experience.
Yeah,
but I kind of got pushed into it. My husband is my biggest fan, and so after I studied photography, I started my business and I went back to my old job. So I was doing 4 days a week, but I was doing 40 hours.
Yeah.
But I was so obsessed with photography that I was then doing like 30 hours, like every evening, every weekend.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Burnout, yeah. It's this cranky nightmare at home, like, sorry, Stevie, and again.
Yeah.
But then, he took me out for dinner one night and he said, "You broke your promise to me." And I was like, oh my gosh. And when we first got together, we promised each other that we would always look after ourselves.
Yeah.
And, so we could bring the best version of ourselves. Yeah. And he's like, "You broke your promise." He's like, "We're going home tonight and you're going to resign." I was like, "What?" He's like, "What about money?" He's like, "Don't worry. It'll work out."
Yeah.
So it was like a leap of faith. It wasn't a leap, it was a shove.
Pushed off the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it started. And it was just like, honestly, his faith in me has carried me so much as well. But also, I love what I do so much and I love why I do it. And so, I mean, the highs are high and the lows can be so low sometimes. Yeah. But it's so nice, like, meeting people like you and, connecting with other people that get it. Because it's such a different mindset to how many other people
I know.
are thinking.
People don't, they don't get it. And it's like people come to me and they're frightened of tech. I get that. It's, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm really a technophobe, and it's like everybody is. You won't believe how many people walk through this door and tell me that every day.
Yeah.
But that's my job, to be the person who looks after your tech, and you get, and people don't get why I like it. It's like, it is creative as well, because I do website design and graphic design. But it's people just don't sometimes get creatives, do they? It's just
no.
It's like, oh.
Do we get ourselves though? Really? There are moments.
Are you organised?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
I actually am.
No, I'm not very organised. I'm just a creative mind is like an explosion. But yeah, it's madness. But yeah, no, it is really, really cool to run your own business. I think it is very empowering. Probably a similar story for me with, Pete's like, yeah, let's do it. I can't work. I just don't work well for other people. So, it was a good thing to do. So, you've moved back to Wairarapa. I always ask women on my show this. What's your most favourite thing about Wairarapa?
The culture here. It's like a different breed of people, honestly, in a good way. Everyone who's come to visit me lately, they come over the hill and they're like, "Oh, it just feels so nice here. The energy, it feels so different. It's like this real peaceful, and just the people here are so supportive. It's so easy to connect with people, like it just is. And people are so friendly and open, and it's such a different vibe. It
is. It's really cool. I don't think I would have been able to do it as much as I have done if I was still in England.
Yeah.
Or even in Upper Hutt, really.
Yeah.
Wairarapa has been a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being such an awesome guest today. I've so much enjoyed talking creative today. It's been really good, because I was feeling a little bit sort of wooden at the beginning, because I'd had a week off, and you get out of the swing of these things, The radio shows are the same sort of thing. You've got to just keep going, into the flow.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to thank you.
Thank you.
I'd love to have you on again sometime.
Yes, totally. I'd love that.
So I'm just going to mention a few people before we sign off for the morning. I'd like to encourage any of you ladies who are listening to consider signing up for the Strength to Strength workout that happens on a Wednesday, Strength to the Dance 2.0, run by Na from CrossFit Manaya. It's a really good thing. It's going to be running for, I think it's 7 weeks this time, but the first week will be goal setting, and they'll be taking some measurements, and then you can measure what you've got out of CrossFit for the 6 weeks that follow the workout. The workouts are really good. They're high intensity. They're fun. They're achievable. Everybody gets scaled. So if you you don't have to be super fit to do CrossFit. Let me tell you that you don't, because when I started, I couldn't even walk to the end of my drive. And in 6 months, I have lost about 12 kilos, and I can now run around and skip and lift weights and things. So it's really, really worth doing. And there are a few limited places left, so you'll need to get in touch with Na at CrossFit Manaya, and they've got a website now, crossfitmanaya.com, and you can message her through that or the Facebook page. And that's for the Women in Business, Wairarapa Women in Business, because we get some great things going on there. Hey, there's lots and lots of good things. Also, Arrow have got a fundraiser happening this weekend about the migrant taxi drivers, and that'll be a really good thing. It's a community listen to that, so I'm just giving that an extra shout out for Arrow, because they're doing this fundraiser, and they do a lot of great things here at Arrow. They've got all these studios here that we can put on niche programs for the community. And it's all run by, we're all sort of here. We fundraise, we get sponsors for our programs, and these are programs that wouldn't normally go out on commercial radio. So get yourself out to that. It's going to be a good evening. The tickets, I think they're on Event Finder, and it's at Addertoy. So I think Addertoy will have some details on the page. We're going to put an event up later, so you can actually get into that as well. We've got lots of things happening in the group at the moment, and we've got, I think it's third Friday at some stage this week, so we'll be at Don Luciano this week. Anyway, I'd like to thank Wairarapa Osteopathy for sponsoring the show, and Fuzzbox, which is my business. And we'll be back next week with another guest, an awesome guest. Just before I go, I would like to mention the new thing that Marie Claire and myself have got going called Business Activists. That is a group mentoring service, so you can go to businessactivist.co.nz and look it up. What we'll do is you join the programme. It's a subscription, and you pay for 6 months of a subscription, and we'll match you with 5 other business people who want the same sort of things as you do. And in your group for 6 months, you will keep each other accountable. So you will attend 6 meetings, and you will set goals, and you will keep each other accountable. And at the end of that 6 months, there'll be a big celebration. And we will hear what your cell achieved, what you did in your businesses. And we come up with this because lots of people wanted mentors and couldn't afford it. And this is a cheap service. It's $50 a month. Now, you wouldn't get a good mentor for that. And you're getting 5 in your group. So that, it's a couple of cups of coffee a week, if you look at it that way. And it'd be great, awesome experience. And hopefully you'll go on to do other missions in other cells in the following 6 months. But it's just a way for us to connect. And the charge is there just because it's going to cost me and Marie Claire some time to do that. So, we kept it as low as we possibly could. So I hope you're going to sign up for that. So you've been listening to Nothing Personal with Nikki King, and I've had lovely Monica Ferguson on today. And we'll see you next week with another guest. You can see us on Wairarapa TV at 12 noon, at 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. today, and at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And you can catch it on YouTube. We've got a repeat on Arrow at 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And you can watch it on the app, so there's no excuse for you not to catch it again. So thank you for tuning in. See you again next week with Nothing Personal. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.